think it varies, but the Department of Education admits that for every $100 of lending, the American taxpayer, right off the top, because we're subsidizing a low-interest loan, we lose $17 on every 100 just right off the top. The Department of Education also admits, with the latest statistics, that if you received a student loan in the year 2018, so last year, there's a 28% chance you're going to default on that loan at some point. That is a stunning statistics. The American taxpayer not only loses money on every loan right off the bat, but nearly better than 1 out of 4 loans at some point will stick the taxpayers with the balance.
Oh, wow. That's some incredible figures, especially when you're talking about 1.5 trillion and growing. This is something that's continuing to grow. So, well, what happens at a certain, when do we get to the tipping point when, we get a bubble and that bubble bursts?
Well, I think we're there. I think, students are loaded up on this debt. It's affecting, the ongoing concern of their future. Here's another area from our report, and everybody listening to your program can download a free copy. Just go to openthebooks.com in the report section on the homepage and download your report. But here's another one of our findings, and this is pretty incredible. So the Department of Education admits that over the course of the last 2 years, they have overpaid $11 billion of student loans and Pell Grants. The $11 billion in overpayments has left the store. It is absolutely stunning.
Now, do prisoners still receive Pell Grants in prison?
We did not find that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, I know that was something that we were trying to stop many, many years ago, that they were giving prisoners Pell Grants while they were in prison so that they could get through school. So I was just, that sounds like something I thought, how interesting that our money is not only being wasted by our own kids, but it's being wasted by criminals in jail who I wonder what the graduation rate is there at that point.
So you always have saints and sinners, right? I don't know about the prisoners, but we did look at seminaries. So over the course of the past 4 years, and we didn't know this was going on, but nearly $1 billion funded by the American taxpayer funded seminaries to mint Christian pastors and Catholic priests.
And that was something. I don't tell my grandmother because she'll make me go now. So that was someplace.
Well, to the extent that everybody listening to your program feels that federal money comes with strings, it's particularly troubling that in the future, by pulling a string or controlling, they might be able to control content in seminaries.
In seminary school, which, right now with the pro-abortion group out there that, and many other things that are go to gay marriage and all that stuff, I could see where this could be a real problem for them and later on down the road.
Well, you hook these institutions on the largesse of federal money, and then I think everything is on the table. I don't think that's not unreasonable to assume that could happen.
Now, let me ask you, how are seminary schools, isn't that to violate the tenet of separation of church and state, or how did that become about?
So that's the common question on that one, Rob, and I appreciate you asking. We're not a constitutional scholar. I don't know how that comes about, but we didn't know that was going on before we gave oversight to these payments. We were surprised by that.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that too. And this is something that you said $11 billion. Did I hear you correctly?
So that was nearly $1 billion.
$1 billion
in the aggregate over the course of the past 4 years.
Wow, that is an incredible amount of money going to seminary school. We should have a lot more preachers and priests out there, I guess.
So it was 112 seminaries received the nearly $1 billion over the course of the last 4 years. And, I think, people forget how much $1 billion is. So if you started saving $100 a day, Rob, the day you were born, it would take you over 27,000 years to become a billionaire.
Oh, no, you've really crushed my dreams. I think maybe I should have learned how to create a fake college out there and somehow receive some of these grants. Now, did you find any all-out corruption where you had schools like that who were just, online, I'm Tom, I teach whatever?
So I think the biggest scandal facing higher education today isn't the illegal activity. I mean, we're reading about it every day in the nation's newspapers, where these wealthy and well-connected families, cheated their kids into America's elite schools. I think the biggest scandal that people need to realize is actually what's entirely legal, and that's what we lay out in our report. It's these improper payments that are flowing. It's the bad debt. It's the tax dollars driving up the cost of tuition, indebting future generations, and it's going to be hard for students to get out from under their college debt.
Yeah, and I know some of those kids, and you're right. I know some of those kids. Some of those people are in their mid-30s and 40 years old, and they're still paying this stuff off, and it's become quite a burden on them and their family, after years of them being graduated. Adam, could you hold on a second? I need to pay some bills here and go to some of my fine sponsors, if that's all right.
Sounds great.
All right, we'll be right back with that, and thank you for joining us.
Hi, Danny at Far West Tire and Auto here. Sometimes deer like to jaywalk, or even once in a while a basketball forgets to look both ways before bouncing across the street. When those moments happen, be ready for the stop with the Michelin Premier All-Season Tire, a tire design with more performance in mind. Far West Tire and Auto on Highway 101 Coos Bay. Always the right tire, always the right price.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumion's on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at gibbsrv.com.
I'm the third generation of our family-owned and operated business, Ragin' Coffee Company. For a quarter of a century, we have been providing some of the best coffee around. We are NOP certified organic by Oregon Tilth since 2007. We make it easy by offering free shipping from our website, RaginCoffeeCo.com. That's RAYJEN CoffeeCo.com. You can find the packaged coffee at Bandon Coffee Cafe, Coastal Mist, and McKay's and Bandon. Give it a try. Ragin' Coffee. You'll be hooked.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining me. We're talking to Adam from Open the Books, and we're talking about the higher education and how much money is wasted on funding and how much debt we have out there as far as student loans. And I was reading some of their through their report on the Department of Education, and it says that one of the titles is Department of Education Funding Across America, where California got $18.6 billion, Texas got $12.6 billion, New York got $12 billion, Florida got $9.5 billion, and Illinois got $7.2 billion from the Department of Education. And my question to you, Adam, is why do we keep shuffling this money around? Why don't we let states take care of this?
Well, for the first 203 years of our country, we didn't have a United States Department of Education, and it was one of the great ideas brought in by then-President Jimmy Carter in the late 1970s. So the country was just fine without a federal department on the issue. What we find today is the bureaucrats that work at the Department of Education, they're highly compensated. So about 70%, 7 out of 10 employees over there make over $100,000 a year. With benefits, the average employee that's a bureaucrat at the department makes over $143,000. That's
a lot of Samola for just pushing papers over there. And I And people don't realize how short-lived of a life a lot of these agencies have. And I'm in my mid-50s, and I remember when Carter created the Department of Education, and we were going to help out the schools in the poor areas and all that good stuff. And it seems to me like all we've done is, well, once again, created another bureaucracy that sucks the money in and wastes it on a huge level. You know what I mean?
So Betsy DeVos, she's the current Secretary of Education at the department, and she has done an amazing job at streamlining the payroll of the agency. So in 2012, under President Barack Obama and Arne Duncan, the agency employed 4,600 employees. Under DeVos, she's under 3,800. So about 1 out of every 5 employees at the Department of Ed has now been streamlined. We estimate that annual taxpayer savings on the leaner payroll is $80 million a year. And the Secretary should be lauded for doing more with less.
Wow, that is an incredible number. I've never heard that anywhere. Her cutting, that's 20% of the employees. So that's an incredible feat. And I noticed that he just put in his budget just a couple of months ago, and one of the things he was cutting was the Department of Education.
So, they are doing more with less over there. We would hope that she would take some of the payroll savings and beef up their audit department. And the reason for that is, with $11 billion of improper payments coming from the Department of Education on overpaid student loans and Pell Grants, it's a target-rich environment to, stop the improper payments and claw back what has already been doled out.
No kidding. I was reading this going down a little bit further, and it says that for-profit colleges such as the University of Phoenix, Ashford University, and Strayer University got $10.5 billion, and these are for-profit colleges, correct?
So the for-profit industry within higher education is top-heavy. The top 10 schools received 30% of the benefits. To put that in real dollar terms, 10 schools last year received $3 billion worth of federal subsidies. It's an amazing amount of money. But, Rob, as you know, this happens in every single industry where government dominates as the payer.
Right.
You basically have a few players that dominate the industry because they have the scale and they're able to hire the lobbyists, write the rules, and fence out their smaller competitors.
Right, and what you're talking about is the elimination of small colleges that would be out in rural areas of Oregon, like where we're at. I mean, it seems to me like they're doing the opposite of what they would want to do, and that would be to buffer up all the smaller colleges instead of giving all the money to the top 30 or the top 10 the way they're doing, because all they're doing is it's welfare for the larger colleges.
And again, in the for-profit area, we see even smaller specialty schools raising tuition because of the massive amount of taxpayer support. For example, there's a drama and arts academy based in New York City and Los Angeles. They charge student tuition of between $38,000 and $48,000 a year. It's a very expensive school. Over the course of the past 4 years, they've soaked up nearly $80 million worth of federal taxpayer student aid subsidies. They admit that their graduates come out and they make, on average, only $28,000 a year. And this is exactly just another instance that shows that so much taxpayer money involved in higher ed is actually driving up tuition rates, saddling students with a tremendous amount of debt, and limiting and capping their futures.
It almost seems like a form of usury. You know what I mean? It's almost like they would have a class action case if a lot of these kids, wait a minute, you guys just scammed us out of money for a position that's to pay us even what we were at least expecting.
Look, we're from Illinois. We're headquartered in Illinois. It's the Super Bowl of corruption, and we've got a word for something like this. It's called a legalized money laundering scheme. It's all legal, but it's certainly laundering taxpayer money into the well-connected.
Well, Adam, you got all this information. What can we do with all this information to stop some of this waste?
We need to raise our voice. Go to openthebooks.com, download our report. There's a top 10 takeaways. You don't have to read 36 pages of the report. Just look at the top 10 takeaways and then call your member of Congress and raise your voice and demand simple reforms in education. You know, the wealthy schools, the Ivy League, they got to lighten the load on the American taxpayer. They don't need our subsidies. They've got $120 billion in their bank accounts. You know, improper payments, that's a nonpartisan reform. Let's stop overpaying student loans and Pell Grants.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more. So, folks, if you're listening to that, once again, that's openthebooks.com. And, you know, I want to talk about a little bit about your website because I thought this was really interesting because I've been using – this is something I've used for quite a while when we're doing things here in Oregon because a lot of times I want to show people how much money the federal government is paying for U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service biologists and BLM biologists and bureaucrats compared to the amount of sheriffs and police officers that we have driving around our streets and protecting our property and our homes. And so one of the things that I thought was interesting is that on your website, you can click on there and go to any state all across the country and find out many different information. Can you tell us, how did you get to the point where you were able to basically draw all that information out from all 50 states?
Well, we've built the Freedom of Information Act machine. And to our knowledge, we're the only ones in the country that have built this. And what that means is last year, our auditors filed 60,000 Freedom of Information Act requests on the most significant 60,000 public bodies in the country. And we compiled, for the first time ever, 22 million public employee salary and pension records. It's nearly every single public employee at every level of government across the entire country that we've captured their salary and pension record.
Yeah, I was just blown away by the amount of information that I'm getting off this page. And like I said, if you folks are out there listening and you're at home, click on your computer and go to openthebooks.com, and there's a map that shows up, and click on our state of Oregon, and it's going to give you a list of pensions, of spending, federal, state, and local campaign cash. This is information that I know a lot of you out there are always looking for because you're like me. Some of you are activists and you're in campaigns. You're involved in these issues. This is really good information, and I appreciate that you're able to dig all this out. So, what is some of the I'm impressed that you're able to get all these Freedom of Information Acts. But could you tell me, how much money do you spend on something like this, if you're allowed to tell me?
Yeah, so we're a public charity, and we, in the grand scheme of things, we fight, above our weight. That's for sure. So last year we ran everything on a $2 million operating budget, and we've got 30 auditors that file those 60,000 requests every year. And then I've got a team of 3 that does the oversight. So all the oversight that we're talking about, that basically comes off my desk with 2 other assets. Specific to the state of Oregon, everybody listening should Google Forbes, Kate Brown, Open the Books. And all of my research on Oregon Governor Kate Brown, published at Forbes, where I'm a senior contributor, will come up. And we did really good oversight on the Oregon governor.
Yeah, in fact, I think we've reported the information that you dug up from here, and I imagine that the Oregon governor is something that, is one of the top of the worst of people who waste. Do you have a list of the top worst governors?
One of our findings on Kate Brown that made national news is that we proved that she had a policy to solicit state vendors for campaign cash. And at arm's length in Oregon, all of that is legal. Although I would submit to you, it's highly unethical.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I remember that now. And that was something because, they always talk about campaign laws and we're going to reform it because that was something that came up in this legislative session that's going on right now in Salem. And they always talk about that. But what they do is that they straddle a bunch of new rules and regulations on guys like me who have a political action committee, and we're lucky if we get $10,000 a year, when she's pulling in, probably millions of dollars a year, and is able to get away with it because she has the lawyers and the accountants to able to maneuver the system. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm just going on memory. But if my memory serves, she, over the course of the last 6 years, she received campaign donations from 557 state vendors. And I don't have the amount of money, but it was millions of dollars, and those vendors had received, I believe, billions of dollars worth of state payments. So it is a highly unethical situation going on in the state of Oregon.
You don't have to tell many of the people who are my listeners on this radio station. She is the bane of a lot of our misery. I can tell you that. Hey, Adam, can you hold on a few more minutes? We've got to go to another commercial.
Rob, I actually have to run. I hope it's okay.
Oh, that'd be perfectly fine.
Like to come back.
Well, I would love to have you back on. And before you go, then why don't you tell everyone real quick where they can reach you again?
So just come to openthebooks.com and download our free oversight report on the United States Department of Education, and then call your member of Congress.
All right.
I want to keep in touch with folks.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Adam, and we'll have you on some other time when you release one of those reports again, okay?
Sounds great, Rob. Thanks for having me on the program.
All right. And with that, we're going to go to a commercial.
Hi, I'm Rich Waters for Jim Vick Auto Sales. For those of you that know me, you know that my family and I have dealt with Jim Vick for more years than we'd like to admit. I've always known Jim as a look you in the eye and deal on a handshake kind of guy. You may have heard that Jim retired recently, but I'm here to set the record straight. Jim is still selling great-looking, clean, exclusive cars at his new location just down the street from his former location. He's now at 2091 Broadway, and he keeps a display of his best cars right there for you to see and drive. Let my friend Jim Vick put you in the right car on your budget. Jim Vick Auto Sales, now at 2091 Broadway in North Bend. Jim will work with you all the way to make sure you have the car and the deal you want. As Jim Vick himself would say, wait a minute. Here he is to say it himself.
Remember, if I can't save you money, I don't deserve your business.
Jim Vick Auto Sales.
Hey, don't be left standing in the dust. Take the lead with the help of Tom & Giggs 4x4 Performance Parts and Service. Off-road truck parts, lift kits, accessories, and more. Whether it's hitting the dunes, slinging some mud, or hitting the mountains, Tom & Giggs can definitely help you get your rig ready for your next adventure. What are you waiting for? Get it to Tom & Giggs Automotive next to Moe's Car Wash in Empire, Coos Bay, or visit TomandGiggs.com. Bigger is better.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. I'm glad you're joining me today on the radio, KWRO. We were just talking to Adam from Adam from Open the Books, openthebooks.com. And once again, if you want to find out what people are making, where people are spending their grant money, where government money is going in the state of Oregon, go to openthebooks.com. And like I said, when that page opens up, they're going to show you a map of the United States. Click on the state of Oregon, and it will take you to the state of Oregon page for the Open to Books website, and it will show you a lot of information that you, probably have never seen before. And I thank Adam for coming on. It was funny, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about one of the reports that he sends out, and it was the federal government's use it or lose it spending spree. Now, if you don't know how government works, at the end of the year, if the government has any agencies such as the Department of Education or our own, let's say the ESD district, if they have any money left over at the end of the year, they have to spend that because it's a use it or lose it proposition. They have to spend that money or they're not going to be rebudgeted that money at the new budget when it comes around to the new year. And so a lot of people don't understand that, and that's why when if you ever go to an ESD is a good example of this. If you go to one of the meetings and you go to one of the end of the year meetings, you'll find that they're in a rush to spend their money on just about anything at those school board meetings. And it's funny to watch them, shuffle through and trying to get rid of that. And I'm one of those people is they need to get down to zero-based budgeting where every year it's not what you spend, it's what you save, and that's what we should give people credit for. If you're able to save your agency money, you should be able to get credit for that. You shouldn't be allowed to, or should be forced to spend money that you don't have to spend just because you're not going to get that rebudgeted to you the following year. And so that's what happens with a lot of this. And so the report that was sent out by the Open to Books program was called The Federal Government's Use It or Lose It. And last year, the federal government spent $97 billion in 1 month on stuff that a lot of these agencies didn't need. And so when people say that there's no cutting to the government, that's just a bunch of BS. There's a lot of ways you can cut the government. In fact, he was talking about how the Department of Education was created back in the late 70s by Jimmy Carter, and that we didn't even have that agency beforehand, and the people could afford to go to college. And now you have the Department of Education, and the price of college has gone up exponentially, and now we're in a huge amount of debt, especially with these loans. And sometime it's going to come due. I mean, all of that money is going to come due. So I appreciate that it came on, but it was funny. A guy called me last week. His name was Lee. I mean, it was 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about this report. And I thought, well, I'll just send an email to Adam and see if he'll come on the show. And lo and behold, he decided to go ahead and grace us with his presence. And I want to thank him for all of the information. I've got some really good sponsors on this show, and every now and then I like to advertise for these guys because any way that I can help them is a help to me, and I couldn't do this show if it wasn't for the listeners and if it wasn't for the sponsors. And one of my sponsors is Hole in the Wall Gun Shop. Hole in the Wall has cannon fuse for sale. That's right, a spool of cannon fuse. Premium cannon fuse is now in stock. It has a 24-second burn rate and per foot burn rate, and it is selling for 50 cents per foot. Cannon and dynamite is not included, so that is something to look for. Bayshore Auto and RV. I was over there this past week talking to Jeff, and Bayshore Auto and RV is looking for shop help. If you're a young person out there, well, you don't even have to be a young person. If you're a person out there who's interested in working and you have knowledge of light mechanical with a good driving record, and if you're good with people, then you need to get over to Bayshore Auto and RV because they might want to hire you because they're looking for some shop help. World Pawn and Exchange, another excellent sponsor of this show, and I want to thank them. They're rocking the free world at World Pawn. The crew over there, I just went over there last week to talk to them folks, and they turned in another 60 signatures for the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. That's another 60 signatures to go for the 2,500 signatures that we're going to need to turn that initiative in. Now, I've got about 18 more months on that, and if you would like to sign the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, you need to go to my website at CoosCountyWatchdog.com. Once again, that's CoosCountyWatchdog.com. And if you go to that website, you'll find a spot where you can click the logo for the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, and it will take you to one of the pages that will allow you to download a mail-in petition sheet. And all you have to do is sign it, fill it out, stamp it, send it in. Please don't staple it. It'll get lost in the machinery if you staple it. So that's for anyone out there who wants to help us with that Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. And if you're someone who wants to get involved with this petition drive, you can email me at cooscountywatchdog@gmail.com, and I will send you several petition sheets, a copy of the ordinance, a summary of the ordinance, and you can get your own signatures and send them in on your own time. Like I said, we're going to try to do this for the 2020 general election. And the reason I'm doing that is because I think it's going to be one of the most incredible elections that we got coming on. In fact, I'm calling it SASO 2020, the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, Campaign SASO 2020. So we will be pushing that out, and hopefully when we get the SASO out of court in Columbia County, we're going to be filing that same exact law all over the state. Last year, we got 10 counties to go for it. 8 of the counties passed that initiative, which was the Second Amendment Preservation Ordinance. Well, this year, we've got the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance, and we're going to try to get at least 20 counties to have that on the ballot, and that's coming up for the 2020 election. Hey, I was over at Far West Tires, another good sponsor of mine, and I want to give them congrats on their excellent service over there. I purchased 4 new tires. I don't know why I'd need more, because that's all the wheels I have is 4. So I got 4 new tires, and I ordered them on Monday before the show a couple of weeks ago. I went down there on Wednesday. They got it in that quick. I showed up at 1 o'clock, and by 1:25, I was driving out of there with my 4 new brand new tires, and they've been great. So I want to give props to Far West Tires over there. Keep up the good work. And I also want to give kudos to Jim Vick's Auto Sales. He's one of our new sponsors, and the rumor of his retirement is just that, a rumor. So please, if you want to get into the auto sales again, please go over to Jim Vick's. And last but not least, Herbal Choices. Yes, Herbal Choices will be kicking off their 420 celebrations on 420. So please look for a lot of those incredible sales that are going to be happening. So that goes for all my sponsors. Like I said, without sponsors and without you listeners, there would be no show. So I want to thank everyone out there. Are we ready to do a giveaway, Sweet William? All right. Well, it's that time of the show again where we have a giveaway for one of those fine eating establishments, McDonald's. I can tell you right now, they have great service, clean bathrooms, and you can get them at Reedsport. You can get it in North Bend, at Coos Bay, and at Walmart. Boy, that was a smart location to put a McDonald's. Let me tell you, when I had to drag all the kids along, it was so great that I could pull into that McDonald's right there at Walmart and drop them all off and let them eat a couple of burgers and drink a few shakes while I'm out trying to get some Walmart stuff. But if you want to win some free stuff from Walmart, you can win a free breakfast sandwich of your choice, a free dessert of your choice, and a free beverage, small beverage of your choice. And you can get a buy one, get one free coupon sheet of coupons for different meals. And all you have to do is be the third caller at 541-267-2124. And with that, we'll be right back.
Spraying in for your next service or repair at Bice Auto. They specialize in engine diagnostics, performance, brakes, steering, and suspension, alignments, canopies, exhaust services, accessories, and more. Take care of your vehicle, and it will take care of you. For your car, truck, or motorhome, call Bice Auto for all your maintenance needs. Bice Auto, 269-2700.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
There's no reason to guess. The verdict is in, and the solid winner continues to be Herbal Choices.
I think everyone knows why Herbal Choices is the leader.
You and I see Herbal Choices the same way, like a part of our family. They know me when I come in, and they're always happy to show me all that's new, including Jim Belushi's new harvest.
Hi, Jim Belushi here. My Belushi Farms private vault is exclusively here, Southern Oregon coast at Herbal Choices. Check it out. It's the only choice.
And no matter where you are, Herbal Choices is close by. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. They always keep me updated on their website at www.theherbalchoices.com.
No one can compete with Herbal Choices prices. They now have so many locations that they buy large quantities and pass the savings along to their customers. It's their people, friendly, always ready to help with knowledgeable answers. It's like dealing with family.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County, thank you for joining me, and thank you, David and Powers. Congratulations on winning that wonderful McDonald's coupons. I live in Bandon. Maybe I pick on Bandon too much. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try to get the one of the city councilors from Coquille to come on the show and discuss some of the things that are going on in Coquille. But I kind of have to pick on Bandon because I live there. And because I live there, I'm in tune with a lot of the things that are happening with the city council. Unlike North Bend and Coos Bay, I don't keep up with them as much. But one of the things that Bandon is doing right now is this past week, it was this past Monday, the city council had decided to do a road diet. We have a word for road diet. It's called traffic congestion. I don't know what the hell is going on in Bandon down there at the city council, but by a vote of 4-2, I guess 4 of the insane against 2 of the rational people down there, decided that the council would approve the so-called road diet, the restriping of U.S. Highway 101 by the Oregon Department of Transportation for a 1 mile through town. Now, this is once again the Oregon Department of Transportation trying to impose this upon the city, and the city capitulating with the larger state agency. And I think it's pretty sad when our councilors don't stand up for its citizens, instead capitulates with the Department of Transportation. But the councilors Brian Vick and Chris Powell, they voted against the proposal. So kudos, Councilor Vick and Councilor Powell. Congratulations. But unfortunately for the other councilors, Jerry Prachetta, Madeline Seymour, Claudine Hundhausen, and Peter Braun all voted in favor of the traffic congestion. I'm sorry, road diet. Yeah, right. But ODOT's road diet will effectively take the highway from 2 lanes in each direction down to 1 lane in each direction. Well, that's real smart. Yeah, with all this traffic, you need to take it down to fewer lanes. That's a way to do it. But it's going to have a continuous center turning lane in the center and will include a bike lane in each direction because, we want all those bikers to come down to Bandon because they spend a lot of money on their 10 speeds picking up those big wooden carvings down there. And when they're not eating their granola, I'm sure they're in some of our finest eating establishments. Come on, they come down there and they mess up the roads, and then they stay in our parks, and they don't do anything for the city. So once again, we're catering to people because it's a feel-good kind of thing to do. And what they're really worried about is that the crosswalk for the school is kind of a dangerous situation. And I think that they could fix it without having to completely get rid of 2 lanes on each side of the highway. I mean, we should be able to, we're engineer geniuses in this country. We should be able to fix this without having to cut this down. And I know it's dangerous because the other day I was coming through that lane where you have that crosswalk. It's right there in front of Price and Pride. And I was in 1 lane. There was a car next to me in the other lane, and we had stopped for a kid who was crossing, and a semi-truck was behind me and slammed on his brakes because he didn't see me stop and had to swerve into the center lane, just missing going into the crosswalk and hitting the poor kid who was crossing. So, yeah, I get it. There's some problems there. But do we have to get rid of 2 lanes? I mean, that just doesn't make any sense. So just so you all know, that's what happened at last week's meeting. But here's the odd thing. They did that vote on a survey for Bandon. It was for the survey for the pool. We've already voted no against this in a legitimate vote. So what did the council do? Well, let's have a survey. That only makes sense after twice saying no. So they did a survey, and the city of Bandon sent out approximately 3,800 of those surveys in the utility bill, and the city received back 352 qualified surveys, and some of which represented 2 votes in 1 household. Of those 367 people said they were in favor of a swimming pool being located in the city park, and 280 survey respondents said they were against the idea. And yet which I don't think the survey was legitimate, and I'd have to question those results, but it didn't matter because the city has decided to stop discussing the issue of the pool, and they're not going to put it in the park, which should have been what they should have done in the first place. But with that, if you can hear, we've got a commercial coming up, and I will talk to you on the other side of this hour. Have a good one.
This is Jeff from Bay Optical Lab, and I'm on News Talk 630 KWRO.
Testifying.
We're back in session. It's the Rob.
And now your weekly car care tip from Tom's Bulldog Automotive.
Hi, I'm Tom from Tom's Bulldog Automotive in Coos Bay. How do you save money on brake work? Not by skimping, say the experts, who claim a bargain brake job seldom is a bargain. Instead, they say invest in the best brake service available, drive sensibly, and of course, practice preventative maintenance. Preventative maintenance includes a periodic inspection of brake components to stay ahead of excessive wear of your brake rotors and drums. If you have squeaky brakes, they may be getting worn out and need to be replaced.
Make it a point now to have your brakes checked by Tom's Bulldog Automotive. They'll make sure your brakes are working properly and your car is in tip-top shape for the winter. Call them at Tom's Bulldog Automotive today at 541-269-0399. That's 541-269-0399. Or go to tomsbulldog.com.
Why go out of town for a good boat show when you can take advantage of great prices right here in our town? Get a new Canoe F10, Frontier 12, or Flint powered by 2.3 horsepower Honda Marine outboard. Double the Honda Marine customer instant rebate during this event. It's where they sell the best and service the rest with Honda Marine. Open Monday through Friday on Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay. Coos Bay Marine, where you never get soaked.
Well, you never get soaked.
Hey everyone, this is Rob from Bice and Tackle, and we want to invite you to tune in every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for our Bice and Tackle Outdoor Show. It's going to be an hour of fun, frivolity, and of course, fishing. We're also going to have hints, tips, and suggestions to help you catch more fish. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, we're going to have something for everyone, with guests, call-ins, giveaways, and whatever else I can think of as I head into the studio. Remember, folks, that's Wednesdays at 3 p.m., brought to you by Bice and Tackle, where we set you up for adventure and give you directions to get there.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at gibbsrv.com.
I'm the third generation of our family-owned and operated business, Ragin' Coffee Company. For a quarter of a century, we have been providing some of the best coffee around. We are NOP certified organic by Oregon Tilth since 2007. We make it easy by offering free shipping from our website, RaginCoffeeCo.com. That's RAYJEN CoffeeCo.com. You can find packaged coffee at Empire Bakery in Coos Bay or the Coffee Connection in Coquille. Give it a try. Ragin' Coffee. You'll be hooked.
KWRO enjoys a faithful listenership of adults 45 years and older. AM 630 and 101.1 FM is a radio station broadcasting conservative voices for the South Coast. With hosts Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, Ben Shapiro, and Kim Commando. CNN News, Northwest Outdoors, and Coast to Coast each night. Advertise with KWRO and let your voice be heard.
This is your best chance to get behind the wheel of a new Ford. For a limited time, get big cash back, long-term financing as low as 0%, and great lease offers on a wide selection of Ford cars, trucks, and SUVs. This is the best way to explore, on the road or off, in a new Ford SUV. From the agile Escape to the rugged Explorer and the spacious Expedition, every Ford SUV is packed with smart features to keep you comfortable, connected, and in control on your next big adventure. This is the best time to tackle everything on your to-do list with a built Ford Tough F-Series truck. Behind the wheel of a new F-150 or Super Duty, you can out-tow and out-haul the competition. Plus, under the hood, available EcoBoost engines match big power with great efficiency. For details on current offers, go to buyfordnow.com. Then head to your local Ford dealer today. Truck class claims based on full-size pickups under and over 8,500 pounds when properly equipped. GVWR based on Ford segmentation.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, Coos County. Thank you for joining me. It's here, Rob Taylor, for the second hour. And once again, if you were listening to that first hour, a lot of information about waste in our federal government. I like to have and deal with federal issues, state issues, but I like to stick mainly a lot of times with the local issues because that's something like they said many years ago, all politics is local, because that's going to affect us directly. That's what's really going to be coming out of our pocket. That's what we're going to have to live with. But one of the things that Salem is trying to pass, and this is related to the story that I was talking about in Bandon just before the hour, is House Bill 3399, which would eliminate the liability of requesting public records. Now, this kind of relates also to Adam from Open the Books, because he talked about, I think he said 50,000 FOIA requests that him and his people are doing every year. Well, that's a lot of FOIA requests, and I do quite a few of my own. Well, when the survey came out for the Bandon Pool, I requested the survey sheets, the answer sheets from the city of Bandon, and the city of Bandon sent back that, well, we can do that for you, but it's going to cost you $108. And of course, I was in shock. $108? Where the heck are you coming up with this stuff? And so I wrote back and said, well, why don't you scan them, and instead of charging me for the copies, we can just go ahead and have you do that, and I wouldn't have to pay for the cost of the copy, which they were going to charge me 20 cents per copy. And the lady wrote me back from the city and said, well, we can do that, but we're going to have to redact some of the information. And of course I said, well, wait a minute, that's the information I want. That's the information I'm requesting, because I want to show everyone that the city put everyone in liability for not having a secret ballot and then asking people their opinion on such a controversial issue as putting the Bandon Pool in the park. Well, HB 3399, as it stands right now, if I make a public records request and they don't honor it, I'm going to go over and file a lawsuit with the district attorney, Paul Frazier, who will then decide whether I'm right or wrong. But if I happen to be right and he rules in my favor, guess what? The city can sue me. They don't sue the district attorney. They can sue me for demanding those public records. Well, House Bill 3399 will close that loophole so that it's the district attorney who's responsible for that decision and not the person making the public records request. And that's very important for people like me and people like Adam, who's with Open the Books, because we need a lot of that information so that we can get the material out to folks like you and just demonstrate how much waste we have in government. So that was just another example of that. Well, right now, I've got a very important guest who's going to give us an update on some of the shenanigans that was going on up in Salem today. And that is Kevin Starrett from the Oregon Firearms Federation. Kevin, how you doing? Kevin, you there? Well, we may have lost Kevin. That's okay. I got plenty to talk about. But if you're anyone who's in touch, you need to go over to www.oregonfirearms.org, and they will give you a list of all the changes that have probably been coming out in the latest work session on SB 978 that was occurring today. And I've been keeping a loose track of it, but they change so much that it's hard to keep track of it, even when you're there. Even when I'm there at the Salem house, it's hard to keep track of it because they will change things right in the work session, right before you testify. So it's crazy, some of the things they're doing down there. So that's why I wanted Kevin to be on the show to give us a little bit of update. And I'm sure he's a little bit crazed right now because of all the things that are going on. Kevin, you with us?
I'm there.
Hey, man.
Here, depending on, whatever the case may be.
Whatever the case may be. So how was it today in Salem? I didn't get to hear you on Lars, and that's part of the reason I wanted to have you on the show.
Well, there were numerous gun bills that were all scheduled because of deadlines, and all of them have been moved to tomorrow.
What does that mean?
Action was taken. What it means is that so there were two bills in the Senate Judiciary Committee. There are three bills that are in play here, but there's one that everybody's concerned about, and that's Senate Bill 978, which will say, pick up your wife at the airport, go to prison for 5 years. Pick up your kid at school, go to prison for 5 years. Drive by a library on your way to a hunting trip, go to prison for 5 years. just insane stuff. So at 12:16 this morning, Floyd Przansky threw out another amendment, another 44-page amendment, because we want everybody to get to read these things.
Right.
When we had the public hearing last week, 2 amendments were introduced while the hearing was going on. So people were testifying on something they had never even seen. Now that the public testimony is closed, they have new proposals which nobody will have an opportunity to testify on. So they could very well be passing something that folks came, they gave their testimony thinking they knew what was going to be in the bill, and now they don't. They can do this again. So for whatever reason, said they were waiting for paperwork on 978. That bill has been postponed until tomorrow, which is the drop deadline to be worked on in the Senate Judiciary Committee. There is another bill, 1040, which very, very narrow bill that is not a problem in its current form, but we are concerned about where it could lead in the future, has to do with rounds leaving the property of, people who are shooting on private property, in this case a quarry. There was a rock quarry, people were shooting there, rounds left the property, hit someone's house, which is not acceptable. And so there were some bills introduced that would have basically shut down all shooting ranges. Kim Thatcher and Bill Post introduced a very, very narrow bill just to address this one particular location. As it is, doesn't concern me. I don't think people should be having bullets land on their houses.
Right.
What it could be amended into does concern me. And then on the other side, on the House side, there's a bill 2013, which was scheduled to be worked today in House Judiciary Committee, which is a very strange bill. Every year they come back time after time saying we've got to do something about domestic abuse and take these people's guns away, but for whatever reason, every year they write another bill that has full of loopholes. So in this particular case, I don't really know what it hopes to accomplish. And after having listened to the testimony, I know even less what it hopes to accomplish, but they postponed that as well until tomorrow, awaiting amendments. So these amendments could come at 3 o'clock in the morning. And this is the game we play in this state, where people in good faith look at legislation, formulate opinions about it, testify in favor or opposed, and then have the rug pulled out from under them after they have made their opinions known. Then a new bill comes along.
Now, did I hear you correctly that tomorrow they can't change the bills after tomorrow's session?
Well, the bills can be changed. Tomorrow is the deadline to have a work session on the bill. Now, a work session is when amendments are adopted and voted on. Sometimes these are combined with public hearings. Sometimes there's a public hearing and the work session comes later. Tomorrow is the deadline to have completed a work session in the House where the bill originated. I know this is really inside baseball, complicated, probably not great for radio, but if it's a Senate bill, they have to have completed a work session on the Senate bills by tomorrow. In most committees, there are a few exceptions.
Okay.
After that, it goes to the full Senate floor or the full House floor if it originated as a House bill, and then the whole process starts on the other side of the building. So theoretically, let's say this 978, which is this dreadful bill, goes to the Senate floor and is passed, then we still have an opportunity to fight it when it has to go through the same process on the House side.
Okay, and that was what I was going to ask you, is if we're going to start this process once it goes over to the House and we get to testify once again and show up and do our whole routine.
Yes, and I would hope that people are really working overtime to contact their senators. The coastal people from a lot of the coast, that's Senator Arnie Roblin. He needs to be hammered. Roblin needs to be just completely hammered, because this is a bill that would literally, in the rural parts of the state, put virtually everybody who lives there at tremendous risk. And Roblin is one of those people who, as a senator, has the ability to vote no. And if we can change a few minds on the Senate side, we can stop this nonsense before we have to do it all again in the House.
That was part of the reason I wanted to have you on, is that our Senator, Arnie Roblin, is one of the ones who I can tell you right now is more than likely probably going to support this. So we need everyone out there to get onto the website, type in Arnie Roblin, and you can find him at the legislative site and get his email, and email him and tell him to vote no on SB 978.
I'd get on the phone, too, Rob. I mean, the phone is 986-1705. You know, people need to just light him up.
What was that number again, real quick?
503-986-1705.
All right. And I'll tell you what, that's something that I know a lot of people out here are really ticked off at him about, and I really get mad that he keeps ending up as our representative up there. I feel like I have to apologize to everyone when he's mentioned.
Well, I think he is definitely worth communicating with. You know, in the past, when he served in the House, he voted pro-gun. And when he became a senator, he completely caved. But I do think that it's worth him hearing from his constituents, and you know, don't be conned by any lies his office tells you. This is what's in the bill, and anybody can go on the legislative website and see, or on our website and look at the last alert and see exactly what's in it. It is absolutely true that if this is passed with any of the amendments that they proposed, you literally could go to prison for 5 years for driving near a library with a firearm. It's insane.
Now, let me ask you, does any other state in the union have such a strict bill for these types of public properties?
Frankly, not to my knowledge. I mean, what they've done is it's always been a crime to go into a public building with a firearm if you didn't have a concealed handgun license. But what they've done is expanded it to the property, what they're calling adjacent to. Well, what does that mean exactly? When laws are brought into court and they're discussing what does this mean, they use the dictionary definition for certain words, and adjacent means close to or nearby. And so you won't be able to go to an airport anymore with a firearm.
Right.
But what really concerns me is that you've got a lot of people in the rural parts of this state who put food on their table by hunting. Every time they drive near a building that the state, the county, the city owns, they could very well be violating the law and be charged with a felony.
Yeah,
and, of course, there's mandatory lockup language where even if your gun is stolen and used in a crime, you're responsible, even if you locked it up. It's absolute madness.
Now, did I understand that bill correctly, that you have to have your gun on a trigger lock while it is locked up even?
Well, it has to be either in a gun safe or it requires a trigger lock or cable lock. Now, cable locks can be defeated by any 4-year-old, as can trigger locks.
Right.
Trigger locks are particularly dangerous because you're putting something in the trigger guard of a gun, and that is where the trigger is. You know, you just don't do that. You don't even put your finger in there until you're on target and ready to shoot.
Right.
But the way they've designed this language, it says if you've locked the gun with a cable lock, and it's possible to defeat the cable lock, which of course it is with a wire cutter, then you haven't locked up the gun, and if somebody murders someone, you are responsible. So not only have you been victimized by a thief, but now you're responsible for what the thief does. And, of course, nowhere in any of this legislation are any enhanced penalties for people who steal guns, only enhanced penalties for people whose guns are stolen. And, you know, there's this bill that the House is considering to enhance the penalties for people who are accused of domestic violence, and all the moms demand action types are all out there saying that's great. But what they never do, what they never care about, what they're never interested in, is any legislation that would actually empower women who are victims of domestic violence. They just want to force them to be totally reliant on the state, which, as you and I both know, has demonstrated it is incapable of protecting anybody, especially little children in foster homes.
Yeah.
But this is you know, we've got the most vulnerable people in this state are women in the address confidentiality program who are basically in hiding because of death threats. And in Oregon, it's a crime for them to buy a gun. That's how insane this state is that a person who's really in hiding in a small town on the coast, she is not allowed to buy a gun to protect herself. And they will not address that issue because all they want these women to do is be totally reliant on a state that has failed at everything.
Yeah, and every effort that they do, it seems that's what they're doing. Well, the victimizing the victim. Like you said, you get your gun stolen. Someone else, you're a victim because you've had your gun stolen. And then someone goes out and commits all these crimes, and then you're victimized again by the state because they're going to hold you responsible for someone else's actions. I'm not even sure that's constitutional, is it?
Well, listen, trigger locks are not constitutional. That was decided in the Heller case.
Right.
But they don't care about that. Because the fact is that if they pass something that's unconstitutional, people like you and I have to spend our money to go to court and spend 5 years and $5 million to fight it. Their lawyers are all paid for by guess who? You and I.
Right.
So they don't care if they pass something that's unconstitutional. The goal here is to harass and intimidate gun owners, to embolden criminals, to make, in this state, if an illegal alien steals your gun, he has more rights than you do, and his court fees will probably be paid by the state while you're sent to prison for wherever he's injured or killed.
Wow, you have described a utopian socialist hell, I believe. I think this is one of Dante's level of hell where illegal immigrants have more rights than you and can victimize you, take your gun, go commit crimes, and you're responsible for this. Thank you, Kevin, for coming on, and I hope we didn't make you even more crazed by having to make you repeat all this. You know what I mean?
You kidding? I'm just so relaxed right now. My feet are up. I'm drinking a pina colada and planning my trip to Disneyland.
All right. That never let them see you sweat. So before we get out of here, how can people reach you and what can they do real quick?
OregonFirearms.org is the website. Everything you need is there. While you're there, please sign up for our email alerts. The last alert, all of our alerts, they are archived. They have information. There's buttons you can press to take action. And by all means, light up Arnie Roblin's phone. That is absolutely critical.
Well, you guys heard him, and thank you for joining us there, Kevin. I appreciate it. And with that, folks, we'll be right back.
Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumion's on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at GibbsRV.com.
Hi, Danny here at Far West Tire and Auto. Do you feel like you're constantly on the go? From daily commuting, dance recitals, and weekend adventures? I'm sure your tires have never let you down, but that much time on the road can cause some wear and tear on your tires. It might be time to consider upgrading to Nokians. With the 50,000-mile warranty on select Nokians, you can hit the road in style. So stop on by Far West Tire and Auto on Highway 101 Coos Bay. Always the right tire, always the right price.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everyone. I want to thank Kevin for joining us. If you are someone who is definitely concerned about your gun rights, definitely go over to OregonFirearms.org. Please consider making a donation. Kevin is in several legal battles right now. He's the one who's helping us pay for our attorney in Columbia County to get that Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance through. And if you want to help out, that would be a good place to go. He's been someone who's been helping us on the ground the whole time when very few other gun organizations would help us. We have to appreciate the Gun Owners of America, and we have to appreciate the 10th Amendment Center, because both of those organizations stepped up when we needed them, and they're helping us with the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. And that is something that, like I said, we're going to be kicking off that campaign. We're going to have about 20 of those coming up in the general election if we can get it out of the court and if we got the right wording to it. You know, this is all legalese. I'm not a legal lawyer by no means. I just pretend to be one on the radio. And so we have to find out if these things are going to work and what's not going to work. And all of that is trial and error. And to be honest with you, it's upsetting that I should even have to be doing a Second Amendment sanctuary ordinance because we already have a Second Amendment. And it says very clearly in the Second Amendment, shall not be infringed. I don't know how more definitive you can be than to say shall not be infringed. I mean, they didn't put that on any of the other amendments, only on the Second Amendment. And I think that the Founding Fathers had a damn good idea of what was going to happen in the future. And I think they could have seen what's happening today back then, even when they were writing. Something else that's, once again, I'm going to go back to Bandon real quick, because I didn't get a time to talk about this on the first hour. But they're having a special meeting in Bandon tomorrow night at 5 p.m. in the City Council chambers. That's right there in the Bandon City Hall, 555 Highway 101. And the reason I'm telling you about this is that the Planning Commission in Bandon has approved a hotel. And back in February 28th, they approved a hotel which Kaiser, who is the owner of the golf course out there, wanted to build a hotel. Yay, great. We need new business. We need new development. So he wanted to build a hotel, and of course the grass grazing, tree hugging environmentalist, well, they don't want to have anything to do with that. And of course, some of the people around the area, they just don't want to have a hotel in their neighborhood, which is odd because there used to be a hotel right on that corner. Well, they have found a way to prevent this application from going through for the conditional use permit, and they're going to try to construct a 32-unit hotel with a small ground floor cafe with 60 spaces of off-site parking, and all of this is over there on Beach Loop. It's going to replace the old Gorman Hotel. I believe that was the name of the old hotel over there. And, of course, a bunch of the tree huggers, they had to stop anything that's called progress around here. I don't even know why these guys call themselves progressives. I mean, they're more like cave people. And so they have challenged that decision. And tomorrow night, if you want to go to the special meeting in Bandon and speak up at that hearing and say, hell yeah, we need this. Because I'll tell you what, that hotel is going to add about $100,000 in tax revenue to the city. And the city can use it because then they won't have to take it away from me. The problem is that the city's going to spend it on stupid things like trolleys and repaving their or restriping their street. It's kind of ridiculous. But I don't know if you heard about this. The special district elections are occurring, and I contacted a few of the people from the North Bend School District and from the Coos Bay School District. No one from the Coos Bay School District that I contacted ever got back to me. Well, that shows you what they think of people. But a couple of the candidates from the North Bend School District have gotten back to me, and I will be having one of them on next week. I was hoping to have a debate, but the guy he was challenging came up with some lame excuse, and we'll go into that when I have the competitor in that race on the air. And we're also going to have an actual debate, which is going to be happening on May 6th, between two different school board members running in one of the positions for the district. But I don't know if you heard about this, but North Bend High School has renovated a new gender-neutral bathroom. Now, when I first heard this and I saw that, I said, what the hell is going on over there? Why do they need a gender-neutral bathroom? And I looked at it, and what has happened is that the Gay Straight Alliance Club, which shows you how far we've progressed in this country, because back when I went to school, you would never hear of anything called the Gay Straight Alliance Club, and no one would attend it because you'd probably get beaten up if you did. But the North Bend School will have 7 gender-neutral bathrooms soon. The North Bend School District approved to spend $8,000 on one staff bathroom that had fallen into disarray, renovating it to become one of the gender-neutral bathrooms or a single-use bathroom. Now, here's the trick on this. I was really against this because I heard it was a gender-neutral bathroom. But then when you read the article and find out it's really nothing more than a single-use bathroom, well, then I've been for that all along. But it makes me mad that they would term it as a gender-neutral when they should have called it a single-use bathroom. And I think all schools should have single-use bathrooms. Now, you all think about the time when you went back to school. when you were in middle school, when you were in high school. I never could understand why they would allow all of us kids to be together in the bathroom so we could have sex, deal drugs, smoke cigarettes, do all those things that, yeah, we did. And boy, some more. We used to drop cherry bombs down the toilet. Don't imitate us, kids. We were kind of stupid and young. But, yeah, we do all those kinds of things in the bathroom. And when I was a volunteer, when my son went to school, I never understood why they would have a bathroom so that 20 people could go and use it at the same time. I think that all student bathrooms should be single-use bathrooms because some people want to do their business in private, whether they're straight, gay, or whatever you want to call yourself. You know, when I go in the bathroom, I don't want anyone else in there. I just want to be by myself and do my business. And that's what I've been supporting all along. So it kind of ticks me off that these guys have used this idea of a single-use bathroom and are calling it a gender-neutral bathroom because the Gay Straight Alliance Club has decided that that's what we need to have for people, which is something that all school students should be allowed to use. So they're going to be having more of these renovations going on in North Bend. So if you're a regular student there, don't be afraid to use the single-use bathroom. I don't care if they're calling them gender-neutral. But if you want to go in there, and you know, it's funny, South Park had a funny episode on single-use bathrooms, and that's all I could think about when I was reading this article. So that's just some of the crazy stuff that's going on there. But you want to hear something that's funny, and people talk about how we're so sexually repressive in this country, and I just gave you that last story about how we're creating gender-neutral bathrooms. Well, guess what? Gay sex and adultery will be punishable by stoning to death, and thieves will be amputated under vicious new Sharia laws brought in by Brunei. Brunei already has Sharia law with homosexuality punishable with 10 years in jail, but under these new laws established last week, gay people could be whipped or stoned to death. Wow. I tell you what, this makes us sound like a pretty damn progressive country when you hear this stuff, but the Muslims found guilty of adultery, sodomy, or rape could also be put to death. Brunei was the first East Asian country to introduce Islamic criminal law in 2014 when it announced the first of 3 stages of legal changes that included fines or jail for offenses like pregnancy outside of marriage and failing to pray on the holy day. The new penalties, which also apply to children, are in the new sections of Brunei's Sharia Penal Code. Wow, it sounds like it said something dirty. Sharia Penal Code. But, you know, people talk about how many times we're repressive, you know, the Western countries. Well, look at what they're doing in countries such as Brunei. And this doesn't just happen in these countries. This happens in many Middle Eastern countries. In Saudi Arabia, they stone people to death for homosexuality. They throw them off buildings. In China, they don't suffer some of the same fate. Christians are dying in China right now. Christians are being persecuted for their Christian beliefs and their religion. And this is happening all around the world. And yet you see people arguing today that America is such a horrible place. I'd love to see a couple of these liberals that have to go and live in Brunei or in China or in any of these other places and see how they like it there. But I'm going to have to go to a break here, and when I get back, we're going to discuss a few more things. And with that, I'll be right back.
I'm the 3rd generation of our family-owned and operated business, Ragin' Coffee Company. For a quarter of a century, we have been providing some of the best coffee around. We are NOP certified organic by Oregon Tilth since 2007. We make it easy by offering free shipping from our website, RaygenCoffeeCo.com. That's RAYJEN CoffeeCo.com. You can find packaged coffee at Empire Bakery in Coos Bay or the Coffee Connection in Coquille. Give it a try. Ragin' Coffee. You'll be hooked.
The clear leader, Herbal Choices. Join the Herbal Choices happy family for best selection. 100 strains, always fresh. Unlike stores that always have the same old products, there's always something new at Herbal Choices. 100 strains and growing. And check Jim Belushi's new harvest. Just in again and better than ever at Herbal Choices. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. And online at theherbalchoices.com.
Hey, Jim Belushi here. Herbal Choices on the southern Oregon coast is where you can find my new harvest. Belushi's Private Vault. Check it out.
And reasons are clear. With 100 strains, Herbal Choices sells so much product that everything is always fresh, and there seems to be something new every time I see my Herbal Choices happy family. All our friends agree. The clear winner is Herbal Choices, the only choice.
Check it out. It's the only choice.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, thank you for joining me, Coos Bay. It's only getting better. And with us right now is Tom from Tim from Tommy Gigs.
You got it right somehow there.
Yeah, somehow there. I trip over my own tongue sometimes.
Yeah, man. Hey, good show, good stuff. And we got a good show going on down here, so come on down anytime. It's always something going on. It's always busy usually. It seems like especially we're turning the corner to spring sometime here, I think. So people are kind of getting their rigs fixed up, and of course you still need windshield wipers and that sort of thing. If you haven't had any wipers done for a while and they're getting kind of cruddy, come on down. You can set on. We don't usually even charge to put them on. Just bring it down. Whatever you need, we should have it here, and whip it out real quick. If you need a check on your rig for alignments or worn out suspension, clunks in the front end or rear end, you never know. It could be a loose shock, bad shock, the tie rod end, ball joints, all those things wear out. It's such a gradual thing. Sometimes you don't even notice it.
Yeah, you go out in the snow or you drive on these streets out here in Coos Bay. It doesn't take much to put that stuff out of whack.
Well, it's a tough environment, I mean, I don't know where our tax dollars are going, brother, but there's a lot of potholes out here, so I guess it's a front-end man's best friend is a pothole.
I like that meme on the internet where they're out there planting trees in the potholes. They just gave up.
That makes you dodge the pothole.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. I think it's just, put another tax on your, make it a $50 a month thing on your water bill, and then we'll have 4-lane highways all in town, smooth as silk, probably.
Oh, yeah.
But, we got all kinds of stuff. We got a lot of neat lighting from Rough Country down here. They make a lot of direct fit lighting now. We just did one of the guys' tender last week. Fits right inside behind the grill. Fits right into it was really a cool setup. It looked factory OE, but, man, that thing really cranked the light out. The guy was super impressed. The first night he used it, he calls back saying, I can't believe this thing. So it was pretty cool. So guys that are off-roading or if you're out in the sand dunes or hunting or just even around home, it's nice to be able to have light. We can do it on the front. We can put lights on the back, all LED stuff. So nice thing about the LEDs is they don't suck up a lot of amperage. Right. They're just very minimal wattage draw. So that's the beauty of the LEDs, and they're super bright and they last virtually almost forever, seems like. So. But, yeah, anything like that you need, tonneau cover, winch, spray and bed liner, which I spray them all now, and we got Daddy's 83 still down here masking them up, so we still have the old school guys here as well as the new ones. So
that's cool.
Yep, he keeps trucking, keeps him busy, keeps him going. But, anything like you need, RC Car World, whatever, swing down, talk to Josh or Austin. They're awesome on that stuff. They know their stuff. And swing down and check our showroom out and check us out. And you can get us online, too, at TommyGigs.com. There's a lot of different pictures, different rigs we've done. Kind of hard to keep up on everything, but we're trying to get that more lined out. But you go there and see what we do, and it's pretty cool. But my little quote of the day is actually JFK said, today we need a nation of Minutemen, men who are not only prepared to take up arms, but citizens who regard the preservation of freedom as a basic purpose of their daily life. Never more true than now with the tyranny that we see every day. So we just need to keep They want you to shut up, just keep on keeping on, and just speak up. Don't let those loony loons make you feel bad by saying your piece. So, I'm just not going to tolerate your crapola anymore. Wear your MAGA hats everywhere, folks.
Amen.
Anyway, I appreciate being on. You get her on, and we'll talk to you next week.
You got it, man. You take care.
Thanks, Rob.
And I agree with him. Wear your MAGA hats everywhere, and don't let the bastards grind you down. I don't know who said that, but it was a good expression. We were talking about the Oregon lawmakers out there, and the Oregon lawmakers are going to roll out a $1 billion student success plan. Yeah, this is the same thing as the $500 million they want to spend to figure out what's causing the unaffordable housing crisis. It's so now they want to spend $1 billion on a student success plan. Well, I know. Why don't you send kids to school and educate them properly? Reading, writing, and arithmetic, and get the politics out. Well, this is Oregon would enact a new tax on businesses, of course, and raise more than $1 billion annually for public schools under a legislative proposal released Thursday after more than a year in development. 3 leaders of the Joint Committee on Student Success briefed reporters on a House bill aimed at prioritizing early childhood education, student mental health, and district initiatives to improve graduation rates and other priorities. Yeah, like actually teaching the kids. Yeah, that'd be a good priority. But there are 3 main components to this whole plan, and they're going to spend $400 million per 2-year budget cycle on early childhood priorities, including full funding for early childhood special education. They're going to spend $600 million per biennium on statewide investments such as dropout prevention and supports for students with disabilities. And then they're going to spend another $1 billion per biennium for a school improvement fund described as non-competitive grants toward specific goals such as smaller class sizes, a longer school year, and additional health professionals in schools. And, of course, committee co-chair Senator Arnie Roblin, you've heard that name before, he's from Coos Bay, told reporters that the spending plan was the culmination of his 14 years as a legislator. He said he has repeatedly thanked President Peter Courtney for placing him on the Joint Committee. Legislative leaders are working to address funding difficulties that date back nearly 3 decades to Oregon's passage of property tax measures. Ballot Measure 5 shifted responsibility to fund schools away from the local school districts and to the state legislature through caps on local property taxes. The committee's goal has been to raise upwards of $2 billion per biennium. And since they started working on the revenue side, they've focused on enacting a tax that would spread the cost across the largest possible group of taxpayers. Yeah, that's really swell. The leading proposal is a commercial activities tax, likely tiered based on the size of the business. So that's great. And so here's how that's going to do. They're going to, one of the community's vice chairs is Representative Greg Smith, who's a Republican from Umatilla, and he said that the smallest businesses would be exempt from the tax completely. He said businesses earning between $150,000 and $1 million per year would pay a flat fee of $250, while the largest businesses would pay a percentage of revenue between 0.37% and 0.45%. Legislators would also cut personal income tax by 0.25% to soften the impact on individuals who would likely pay more for goods and services as a consequence of the new tax on businesses. Well, why tax the businesses in the first place? Why don't you just take the money that we already gave you for the schools? Why don't you educate our kids, stop paying for the teachers who've retired, and start doing something better in our own system? And Arnie Roblin, you know, he was a principal here before he went to the House, and now he's in the Senate. And look what he's done for Oregon schools. He's been up there how long? The Democrats have been controlling the House and the Senate for how long? And look at the condition of our schools. We've got some of the worst graduation rates in the entire country. We've got some of the worst dropout rates in the entire country. Our scores are always at the bottom of the tier. So I can understand how we think that we can throw more money at something that is receiving more, because Oregon schools receive, on average, about half more than what most other schools receive across the country. We are right in the middle, number 24 for the amount of money that we receive to go to our schools. So it's not a problem of not having money. And my first guest who was talking about open to books, I can guarantee you if we went into these school districts, the Coos Bay School District, the North Bend School District, and we went through that budget line for line, I guarantee you every average citizen out there could find something to cut. We know there's places to cut. We all have personal, private budgets. And when I don't have enough money to spend, I can't just pull it out of a hat like our politicians do. I have to live within a budget. So that means that, there are consequences for going overboard. And we're going to eventually pay those consequences. I just hope that some of the politicians have to pay first. I think we have a contest we're going to be going to here. This is one of my favorite contests. I was over at the Lucky Star, got me some of that sesame seed chicken and chicken fried rice, and let me tell you, that was some good stuff. And so I have to give them kudos over there. But if you want to win the house special at Lucky Star, which includes barbecue pork, sweet and sour pork, fried shrimp, spring roll, pork fried rice, and pork chow mein, Lucky Star, which is located at the bottom of the hill of Newmark and 101, all you have to do is be the third caller at 541-267-2124. And when we return, we'll have some food for thought from Jim Bice.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
This here's Milo and Lyle for Bayshore Auto, your one-stop auto store. Lyle, did you know Bayshore Auto is AAA approved? Yep. And did you know that they're ASE certified? Yep, I did. And did you know that they got high-quality auto value parts? Uh-huh, everybody knows that, Milo. You think? Yep, don't take no genius spot a giraffe in a buffalo herd. Bayshore Auto on Highway 101 at 1887 North Bayshore Drive. They stand real tall. Yep.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms. Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Kumyans on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
And now, here's some food for thought from Jim Bice.
The Democrats in Salem are demonstrating yet again how they would rather govern to promote their agendas than govern for the benefit of the people. In their continuing efforts to disarm the people of Oregon, they've introduced Senate Bill 978, a ridiculous proposal that will have little, if any, effect on criminals, terrorists, or wackos, but will instantly turn thousands of law-abiding gun owners into criminals. Although the entire bill is packed with gun grabbers' fantasies that turn otherwise law-abiding people into criminals, perhaps the most insidious element of this travesty is that it would authorize local governments, Portland International Airport, colleges and schools to adopt rules amending concealed weapons permits. This means that the state's gun laws would become a hodgepodge that will vary from county to county and city to city and even from building to building. The wording in the bill could also be interpreted to include other buildings accessible to the public, such as shopping malls and all airports, including the parking areas. In other words, what this will do is create more gun-free zones. Now consider, according to the FBI, nearly all mass shootings occur in gun-free zones. Over the past 5 years, I was able to document through news reports and other sources at least 19 times a legally armed citizen stopped or prevented a crime in one of these publicly accessible areas. Additionally, this clause of the proposed law picks specifically on concealed handgun permit holders. Statistically, concealed handgun permit holders are among the safest and most trustworthy people in our society. Permit holders commit fewer crimes than do police officers, and they legally stop or prevent crimes over 2 million times per year. Now, these Democrats in Salem either know or should know this information. It's readily available for anybody that wants to look. So the question we all must ask ourselves is, are they ignorant of the facts, or do they know the facts and just don't give a damn about the safety or constitutionally guaranteed rights of the people? I'll let you decide for yourself which it is. The logical progression here is that once they create more and more gun-free zones, it's only a matter of time before some criminal, wacko, or terrorist starts shooting people and gives them another excuse to impose more and more restrictions on law-abiding firearms owners. While the majority Democrats joyfully trample our rights and freedoms, the party of stupid is again earning its nickname. When confronted as to why they aren't standing up for our rights, they whine that they're in the minority and have no power to do so. That's a load of crap. All they have to do is refuse to attend the committee meetings that address this type of bill. If they don't attend, there won't be a quorum, and the bill cannot be voted out of committee. The other argument is that they were elected to do the people's work, and obstructing votes in the committees would hamper them from doing so. This too is a load of crap. The primary job of any elected representative is to support and defend both the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state. Protecting the rights and freedoms of the people is job number one. Any other issues they want to address are secondary to their primary job. Now, don't bother to call a right to any of the Democrats in Salem. They're going to pursue their agenda, and they don't give a rat's behind what you may think. Instead, call a right to some of the gutless Republicans and tell them you want them to do their job, and you're tired of their lame excuses. What's the point of electing them if they won't even do the job they took an oath to perform? Just some food for thought.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Well, there's some sage old advice from Jim Bice, and I would recommend that everyone, if you get a chance to call your legislator, you can just Google it, Oregon legislators, and it will take you to the Oregon legislature website, and I would definitely call Arnie Roblin and find out, let him know that you're not going to put up with this. It's, and I hope that if he does vote for it, that at some point he faces the consequences, him and Caddy McEwen both, because they're both going to be put under the gun, no pun intended, but they're both going to be put on the spot, and they're going to have to make that decision, and let's hope they make the right decision. And any of you who want to catch Jim Bice's food for thought, you can go to Coos News, that's Coos with a K, Koos, news.com, and he will have those recordings on that show. And anything else that you want to see on want to hear about and find out more information about, you can go to CoosCountyWatchdog.com, and I have plenty of this information on my website that we talk about today and every time we have a show. If you want to sign up for a newsletter for the Rob Taylor Report, just sign up for the Coos County Watchdog newsletter, and that's the same list that I use for my show notices. So you can just go there and sign up at Coos County Watchdog, and you'll get a notice every week of which guest we're going to have on. And like I said, we've had some incredible guests coming on the air. And we're on Facebook. If you want to like me on Facebook, Even if you don't like me on the air, that's perfectly fine. You can go to the Rob Taylor Report on Facebook. And I have a page there that also every week I try to put on there who we're going to have on the show and what's going on. But more importantly, you can also go to the Oregon Second Amendment Sanctuary, Oregon Second Amendment Sanctuary Facebook page. And that will also give you a lot of the updates on what's going on around the state. Because like I said, Campaign Sasso 2020 is about ready to kick off. And I got a feeling we're going to be facing a whole new set of rules where we're going to be made into criminals just overnight. It looks like I got enough time to report this. I don't know if you guys keep up with what's happening with the Supreme Court, but SCOTUS has sided with Planned Parenthood in a malicious suit against the whistleblowers that reported on Planned Parenthood and their selling of baby parts. Last Monday, the Supreme Court denied a request by a group of anti-abortion activists to throw out charges brought against them in a lawsuit from Planned Parenthood. And remember, we pay a lot of our public tax dollars to Planned Parenthood, and the Center for Medical Progress had requested the Supreme Court toss out Planned Parenthood's claims that they committed federal conspiracy and wiretapping violations. Planned Parenthood also claimed that the Center for Medical Process violated California law by fraudulently gaining access to its facilities. Well, what did they do? Say, I needed an abortion, and hey, come on in. I mean, that's lying. I mean, what's worse? Lying to an abortionist or a baby doctor who kills babies? I mean, really now. That's not even the pot calling the kettle black. That's something even worse. But so these baby killers, they're worried about the Center for Medical Progress, and they got a lawsuit going against them because they claim that they've had their rights violated. But the Planned Parenthood also claims that the Center for Medical Progress violated California law by fraudulently gaining access to its facilities, and that the lawsuit filed in 2016 was a response to the anti-abortion group releasing a series of edited videos the prior year that showed Planned Parenthood discussing the sale of fetal tissues. Well, gee gosh, let's not lie to those people. Yeah, they only kill babies and sell their parts. We wouldn't want to, be maligned by baby killers. Jeez, what the heck is going on with this country? Ah, man, oh no, they caught us. They caught us killing babies. They're filming it. We got to sue those people. I mean, really now, is that what we've gotten to this country? Is that how the Planned Parenthood is going to defend itself? If it doesn't like your opinion or you come onto its property that's paid for by the taxpayer, oh no, we're going to sue you. Sue you into submission. Great. Well, that just ticks me off. But let me tell you about another thing that's going on here in Oregon. The Oregon legislature is mulling over the granting of driver license to undocumented immigrants. Yeah, remember we voted this down not too long ago? Well, listen to this. A federal overhaul of the state's driver's license could give Oregon the chance to grant driving privileges to the state's estimated 100,000 undocumented immigrants. 12 states, plus the District of Columbia, currently provide driver's license regardless of immigration status. The Real ID Act, passed after 9/11, sets minimum security standards for all state IDs and requires that these enhanced IDs be presented to enter federal buildings and board domestic flights without a passport. The Department of Homeland Security allows states to issue non-compliant cards for those who do not have the documentation to prove their lawful presence in the country, including victims of domestic violence and those experiencing homelessness. Oregon, like many other states, will create a two-tier identification system and issue both real IDs and standard driver's license, which are federally non-compliant. So lawmakers initially reversed the practice in 2008 to comply with federal ID laws, then backtracked and voted to reinstate licenses for undocumented immigrants. And that was in 2013. The law never took effect because opponents, including a group called Oregonians for Immigration Reform, were able to put a ballot initiative that would repeal that measure, and that was Measure 66. I'm sorry, that wasn't Measure 60. I forget the measure number, but that repeal lost 66 to 34%, and the legislators put emergency clause on the bill, so it would be nearly impossible to put a ballot on this new bill and put it up for referendum. Well, there you go. More news for you this week, and hopefully we'll be with you next week with a candidate from the school board district running for the North Bend School District. And with that, you all take care and carry on till next week.